So we are here with Denny Johnson, and I'm going to be asking him some questions, and hopefully he will share with us his amazing insights. So Denny, can you please tell us about the protocol? I know you've been talking about it, and I'd like to really hear from you the purpose of it and the description of it.
The term protocol to me is defined as a process or a method or something to do. So the term protocol for me means a moment-to-moment strategy, or what am I going to do with who I am, my feelings, my capacity. What do I do moment to moment? So this sounds very subtle, sounds unusual, sounds conceptual, but what am I doing in each moment with my feelings, my awareness? How am I applying my free will? What am I doing all the time? So the goal is to gradually set in motion a strategy for how I feel or process life within or around me. So the protocol is the strategy for my own soul's progress. So for me, the protocol is, what am I doing with my free will moment to moment? So that's what the protocol is really about. At another time, I will be glad to review the history of how the protocol came. But for me, the protocol is, how am I handling the arrival of the moments where I am triggered or reactive, or I notice I'm sad, or I notice I'm happy. So what do I do with every moment? So for me, the protocol is based on the diagram you have behind you, which is a type of living circulation. It's an abstract map of the diagram of how life moves through the existence of the physical body and the spirit body. So we'll make references at times to three different bodies: physical body, spirit body or mind, and soul, three different places. The protocol is designed to link all three in a single type of feeling. We're going to try my connection between all three, and I like to trace the movement of a feeling with my hands. Sometimes I use one hand. Most of the time I like to use two. So if you could look at the torus, there is this natural flow that comes from inside and out and circulates. Now this is the same underlying dynamics in nearly every living thing. A blade of grass, a bush, a tree, they have this energy that comes up the middle and goes to the outside. The same basic diagram is true for the electromagnetic field of the earth as it circulates from the inner core of the earth and circulates northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, and it circulates and it has rhythms. The same circulation is also related to the dynamic of the protocol. So the natural flow of energy is my life force goes up and out. But oftentimes in the moment of having a triggered reaction with a situation or person, abstract or literal, meaning abstract. It could be a movie. To me, that's abstract. Or it could be just a thought process of imagination I have where I'm triggered. Or it can be something like music that triggers me into the past. Or it can be an actual social dynamic of one of my children coming, or it could be somebody coming to the door, a coworker, somebody comes, and we have a moment of whatever you want to call it, a trigger, emotional trigger. In that moment, rather than continue the flow of the natural outbound relationship to that person, I'm going to turn it around, go along the same circuitry, and take it back in the same arc down and through my physical body and down again. So rather than going out, I'm bringing it back in. So what am I bringing back in? I'm bringing my awareness of the capacity to feel. I'm feeling something, frustration, anger, hurt, sadness, joy, laughter, celebration, arousal, whatever it might be. I'm having a moment. But rather than it continuing to go in the same arc where I'm going to make that person responsible for my trigger. You did this to me. You're the reason why I'm having a problem. Rather than do that, I'm going to turn it around, bring it back by my own intention, which, by the way, is now I'm going to use my free will to trace that single line. That's why if you look behind me, to me, it's all about lines. It's all about lines. There are hundreds, thousands of lines, of threads of energy moving through the human body. In that moment of a particular thread bringing me a law of attraction, the automatic tendency by addiction and or habit is to continue the expression outbound by blaming the person attacking and or attacking myself, doing something passive where somebody says something to me, I don't say anything, but I feel hurt, and I'm going to continue to hurt myself. So in that moment, rather than projecting it toward the person or toward myself, I'm going to choose a whole new pathway, a pathway that was not created except by me. It already existed naturally along a line of habit. I'm going to turn it around, bring the arc back, and choose to create something new. The something new is I'm going to take that feeling and construct that feeling toward a new direction. And I'm going to suggest the human heart is also affected by my desire to want to know the truth about this particular thread. So I'll say to myself as I'm moving my hands back in a slow motion arc at about this speed, the sincere desire to know the truth about this trigger, this feeling, this moment, the sincere desire to know the truth about this feeling and every feeling like it I've ever denied, known, or experienced. You can change what you say at different times. Show me the truth. Give me the truth. Asking for. So it's along a specific line. That's why it's so important.
So many of us have habituated patterns where, we hear about it. That's the common complaint. Every time I try to do something, somebody says this or does that. It's almost like that law of attraction is a loop that we're continuously in. And that graphic that you have behind you are all these different threads, all these different ways of behaving in the world. So you're suggesting that we take a feeling that comes up in any of those habituated patterns and say, wow, I want to know the truth about that. Bring that to me, bring that towards my heart, as opposed to feeling like all these patterns are just out there and I'm kind of bumping into all of them and having all of these feelings or triggers, as you say. It's the desire, the sincere desire to actually feel those feelings, to bring them in, bring them towards me. Show me the truth about this. Why do I get upset when somebody tells me what to do? What's the truth about that? Oh, wow. I might see that the truth is I didn't like that second grade teacher that told me what to do. Or, wow, I didn't like my mother telling me that I had to do this when I wanted to do that. So that trigger is always there. By asking for the truth, by doing the protocol, we are now taking personal responsibility for those feelings and not being reactive to others that are just triggering those feelings.
Yes. So part of the process is, okay, to examine this sequence of the protocol logically. I mean, for the person who's beginning to do this, ideally there would be a logical reason why we're doing each part.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to learn the sequential flow of the protocol intellectually just to comprehend each part of it so that we can begin processing it in a more fluid way. So, for example, we might want to examine what the difference is between a feeling and an awareness. So is it I become aware of the situation or I have a feeling? So later on, we will, if you will, open up the difference between an awareness or a feeling and then a trigger. And it's coming back to, now, why am I doing this? What is the actual benefit I get if I do this? Why am I wanting to reverse a triggered experience? Why do I want to become responsible for every feeling around me? You mean I am 100% responsible for all the feelings I'm having? What about the other people? What about the environment? What about the government? What about my parents? What about, wait a minute, you mean I'm going to be responsible for 100% of all the feelings I have when the COVID is here and there's elections and there's wars and I'm going to be
Absolutely.
theoretically, why would I want to be 100% responsible for every feeling inside of me? Now, the understanding of how that moves, why it changes, is important. So the theory behind, okay, I'm going to take voluntary trigger back inside of me, and does that mean in some way I'm going to now release it? Well, I would suggest that the first thing you're actually doing is building your will, your strength, your integrity to actually feel more. So every time you might have a triggered with somebody in response to politics or religion, you're having a triggered reaction, and you turn that triggered reaction around and you follow it in, you're going to be looking for the truth underneath your reaction. If you're angry about not getting something you want. If you look deeper and you ask to be shown, what is the actual feeling driving it? What's driving it? Now you're looking for another truth. You're looking for something that you've not been willing to look at before. Show me, strengthening the will, show me how to strengthen my will to become more responsible for higher and higher magnitudes of feeling and the capacity to deal with many different kinds of feelings, like all of the threads.
So, Denny,
Go ahead.
So Denny, you're talking about a couple of things. You're saying that part of the protocol is not only just asking to feel the feelings, but actually to deepen those feelings, to feel them more. And then the second part is actually to feel the truth about those feelings.
Yes, the desire to feel more of this feeling, not less. So if you're having an interactive moment with somebody, normally you want to, I don't want to feel that.
Right.
Now I want to feel more of this feeling. And actually, what is the motivational source that gives birth to this feeling?
You mentioned the elections, and I actually think that's a perfect example because the elections instill a lot of feelings in people. I mean, just talking to people, particularly this week, just before the elections for president, people have all sorts of feelings. They have feelings of fear, anxiety, sadness, anger, even rage. So if in the protocol we actually take personal responsibility for those feelings, we can actually identify the feeling that we're feeling around the elections and utilize that feeling to feel it more and then ask for the truth about it. And that's one way that we can be personally responsible for what's happening in the world around us.
Yes. So part of the way of doing that is to build up my desire to experience more feeling, to experience more truth, and to live my life more authentically. So the protocol has really two different parts to it. One part we have been describing is, what is my strategy for the arrival of a trigger to bring that feeling inside of me, and to look for the truth and deepen the capacity to feel. The other part is, in the intermediate times where I don't feel momentarily triggered, I'm going to take 5 to 10 seconds, more if you choose to just build my desire to feel more. I want to build my sincere desire to feel more. Later on, we can discuss, what am I actually trying to feel? Am I trying to feel my heart? Am I trying to feel my pain? Am I trying to feel my grandparents? Am I trying to feel, what am I trying to feel? So part of the process is this sincere desire to feel more of the truth about who I am. What am I? Who am I? What am I capable of? What do I believe I am? Do I believe I'm a body? Do I believe I'm a mind? Do I believe I'm a soul? Do I believe I have a relationship to a divine or not? What do I believe I am? So the first step in the outbound function of the protocol is a sincere desire to feel more of the truth about who I am. Now, you might define who I am as a soul. That's up to you. I'll do that for myself. The sincere desire to know who I am in reality, and to also seek to choose to want to live that reality. So now I'm producing an outbound flow where my desire to go in the world might look something more like this. I'm going to build my desire to feel more and more and more of myself. I'm going to desire to richly desire to feel more. I'm going to have a passion. I'm going to be motivated to want to live with sincerity, the greater increase of my capacity to feel, and then to live that through truth. Now, that's the front part of the protocol, me extending myself in the world.
And I can definitely appreciate that. I think for many people, though, that's a paradigm shift because most people are trying to go through life trying not to feel, trying to not have confrontation, trying to do their best to just get by and not cause triggers or trigger. So, how would you help people to understand how important it is to feel those feelings and not stuff them or hide them?
The capacity to feel more determines my fluidity in space and time, which means simply if I sincerely desire to want to be successful, to grow, to be healthy, to be happy, to have love, to share compassion, to serve in the world, if I truly want the world to be a healthier place individually, collectively, and globally, it depends on the degree to which my own expansiveness of feeling can grow. Now, in the act of desiring to feel more, I'm going to run right into boundaries of feelings put together either by myself throughout my life or in my relationships or in my childhood or by my parents or by my grandparents or by my ancestors and so on and so on. I'm going to have certain boundaries that stop me from moving. So every time I have a sincere desire to want to open myself up through feeling, I'm automatically going to draw to me something that you would define as a law of attraction event. A law of attraction event only means that this is the exact feeling I need to feel personally for myself. This is what I need to feel next. And a few minutes later, it could be something else. And a few minutes later, it could be something else. So if I have lines like this, I might actually have triggered emotional reactions of many different things from my father's side of the family or many different things from my mother's side of the family, which is an ongoing series of triggers that come to me throughout the day. But these triggers that are coming to me, they're the result of my desire to want to grow. If I really want to grow, then I'm going to need to examine my relationship to my father and my father's family. If I really want to grow, I'm going to need to examine the relationship to my mother and my mother's family because they have constructed boundaries. They have constructed many forms of pain or suffering or addictions and have filtered down. I have to be the one to be completely responsible for every feeling I have about my father and or what my father had about his own family, because the unresolved feelings in my father's family are going to be locked into my spirit body in some form or another, arriving to me as a form of attraction to an event, an action, a disease, an accident, a stroke, a heart attack. They're arriving to me because I have not yet accepted the full responsibility to be able to identify and or remove them gradually through the process of wanting to be responsible for everything that was genetically imprinted or imprinted by my society or my country or my race or the fact that I exist in the world. I have things I need to become more responsible of. And they're going to come to me in the exact sequence correct for me. So if I have a sincere desire to want to grow, and I need to resolve something with my father, I'm going to have an issue with some masculine authority figure. If I have an issue with my mother or a female sibling or something, then I'm going to have a different kind of interaction, a different law of attraction, which a law of attraction is just a cause-effect arrival of a choice someone made. Either I made it, my parents made it, my ancestors made a choice, and now set in motion these law of attraction events coming to me. If I truly want to grow and feel, be healthy, be happy in the long run, then I need to be 100% responsible for every feeling inside of me, regardless of how it got there.
So, Denny, you're suggesting that we actually store all the feelings of our ancestors, our parents, our society, whatever was harmful, hurtful, or unloving is actually stored within us. And if we actively choose to be responsible for those feelings, we will actually encounter situations, persons, events, which may trigger some of those stored feelings. And you're suggesting that that's actually a good thing because they're there anyway. So it's important to actively seek to know the truth about them, be personally responsible for them, so that we can grow and expand our own souls.
Well put, exactly right. So there's a responsibility I have to recognize that whether I like it or not, genetically or otherwise, I've been imprinted with information that at least extends back physiologically to 3 or 4 generations, but even affecting my mind or my ability to feel might actually go back for hundreds of years, because the genetic pattern is about 100 to 180 years, but there might be other ones that are also in the country from 400 years ago, but there will also be other ones from 800 years ago. And yes, do I have some kind of emotional relationship to the Judeo-Christian history of love, religion, history, Jewish, Christian background, Muslim background? Am I in some way influenced by the Egyptians? And further, am I actually influenced in some degree or another by the entire length of human evolution that might go back 180,000 years? It might go back 450,000 years. Who knows to what degree my essence has a memory at some level. So yes, it's about memory. My person does not forget my experience, my thoughts, my feelings, known or unknown to me, my reactions to things around me. Every person that walked by in my peripheral vision, I'm having triggered reactions to. While I'm oblivious to the fact I'm reacting, there is a part of me that has memory. So part of this is to take a triggered emotional reaction back into the place of memory. Show me the memory of this truth. Show me the reason why I have an emotional reaction to colors, smells, environments, postures, history, languages. I have hundreds and hundreds of memory-oriented belief systems running through my family tree, and they regulate my emotional, physical experience.
So I want to actually bring it back to the election again, if we may. If we look at this election in particular in the United States, there's so many parts to it that people can be triggered by, whether it's race or authority or the environment, greed, money, healthcare. There's so many areas that we can actually utilize as triggers and really ask for the truth about those triggers, ask for the truth about slavery within our family or how we feel about it. And the suggestion really is to either take actual triggers or actually even sit with things that you might be upset with for a minute, 30 seconds to start, and just feel asked to feel the truth about this and every feeling like it. Would that be a good starting point? And then can you give us some suggestions about how we do this throughout the day, throughout the weeks?
Well, for myself, I like to take 5 to 10 seconds to acknowledge the existence of an arrival of a trigger. Just do that. Pause for a moment and notice if it's still there. Then maybe do it again. So I like to wait a while, wait an hour, and notice, am I still triggered by that event an hour ago? And then do it again. Then notice an hour or 3 later, is it still there? Now, what I notice is if it's really severe, meaning it's about my primary relationship, it's about my domestic household partner issue, about money or sex or something very personal, and it was a shocking, angry situation where we both reacted in some way, I've noticed it can take about 4 days for that to move through. I have found that I can find a feeling from 4 days ago. If I really want to go there, I can find it. I can't seem to find it past 4 days. So I notice that if I'm having a difficult or harsh feeling with someone after 4 days, I really need to increase my sincerity and really look more deeply. So in the situation with the politics that we have around us, to me, I might need 20 minutes to let something go, and it goes pretty quickly. So if I practice feeling this about the election, there's another one, there's something else, there's something about religion, there's something, those that I'm practicing, circulating it this way, they're usually gone within minutes. So I seldom see it 3 or 4 hours later, but I like to also 4 hours, 6 hours, or 8 hours later, I like to go in 2-hour segments. If it was really there, I like to say 6 hours later, now more the truth about that trigger I had this morning. Now is the opportunity for me to look for a deeper truth about that reaction I had to the news or a person or a relationship. Show me more. I like to link it into time. Memory is associated with time. Our ancestors are based on time. Human evolution is based on time. The day is based on time. So my personal opportunity to link my desire to feel more to time, or my desire to process and feel more to time. So I have a tendency, if there is a law of attraction event, I like to notice the clock. This arrived at 10:15 in the morning. That might mean something that I don't know. This arrived at 5:15 in the evening. There must be an exactly perfect reason why it arrived at 8 o'clock at night. I'm awake at 2 in the morning. There must be a reason why I'm awake at 2:15 or 3:40. So I have a tendency to link the protocol to the hour of the day and go, wow, the hour of the day is associated with the month. So if I'm feeling a strong feeling during the month of October, to me, that's a different orientation than if I had the same strong feeling in March. Because a law of attraction is associated to time. So the law of attraction will deliver to me in the right timing exactly the thing I need to feel now. So I take every triggered reaction and associate it with this circulation and the experience of the time I'm passing through. The morning, the month, the season of the year. There is a reason why. I want to know the deeper truth because I have a sincere desire to want to grow. Now, the same thing is true about the outbound feeling, but we can discuss that in a moment.
Yeah, so I guess I'm looking at it from somebody that's just starting out with the protocol. It makes sense to just start to be aware of triggers, and then notice the time that they're occurring, and just notice, if there's any pattern or what the month is, what the time of day is. And I do think that would be another great chat, is to look at the cycles and seasons and the occurrence and timing of those triggers. But for somebody just starting out, to just be aware of those triggers and the timing that they're occurring, and then to make a practice of maybe sitting with one trigger or another trigger and just asking to feel it more. Show me the truth about this feeling and all the other feelings like it that I've denied or been aware of. And just to start in that way, to just kind of notice, I'm being triggered here. Well, let me note that one and maybe come back to it and set aside some time. And as you said, maybe even a few seconds just to notice the trigger, and then maybe 20 minutes to work with a single trigger.
And you can experiment with how to do that. I like to sometimes come back to the simplicity of, do I really want to feel? Do I really want to grow in my capacity to feel? And then also, what's my motive for doing this? Okay, so if I'm going to grow in my feeling, why do I want to do this? And I sometimes like to remind myself that theoretically, what I'd like to be is happier. Theoretically, what I'd really like to be is loving. Theoretically, I'd like to be of service. Theoretically, I'd like to have compassion. I'd like to have friends. Theoretically, I'd like a world of peace, of beauty, of nature. Theoretically, I'd really live in a heavenly world. I'd really like. So what is my actual motive for why I want to feel? So I would suggest, if you're a beginner, just work with that, the sincere desire to feel. And then if you'll notice, you do that only for 5 seconds, that's good. Now do it 5 seconds the next hour and the next hour. If you can just remind yourself to feel more, 5 seconds in each hour of the day that you're awake. And then if you wake up in the middle of the night, or you wake up first thing in the morning, you just set it in motion of the same kind of movement, the sincere desire to feel more. Now, what I found is, if I will do something consistently for one season of the year, approximately 90 days, 3 months, if I'll just sincere desire to feel and to grow, the sincere desire to grow in truth, the sincere desire to be more authentic, to be more loving, to be more alive, to feel like the sincere desire to do that over a period of time, after about 90 days, the degree to which I practice it is now embedded long-term in timing. So that's the part I like the most, is because it can create movement. Now, the diagram you put up behind you, to me, is the best symbolic number, or this, by the way, is a Fibonacci spiral, which to me is what time really does. It turns, it spirals. It turns and spirals. So the one that's behind you is, if I take a single moment of feeling, a sincere desire to want to grow, and I drop that feeling into time, and then I drop the same feeling into 2 hours later, 2 hours later, 2 hours later, approximately. No one does it perfectly. That over a period of time, roughly 3 months, it becomes an intuitive interior process that will continue. If I do it for sets of 3 months, 6 months, that's an increase. If I do it 9 months, major changes around 9 months. If I do that for 1 season, 1 year, now I'm also doing 4 seasons, and it seems to lock in much more thoroughly. Now what comes is more law of attraction, more law of attraction that follows, and they come and they give me the opportunity now to feel them more, process them more, and I'm less triggered by things, but I'm more sensitive. So it can start very, very simply and becomes more and more of a process of feeling more. Now, this for me is the most important thing I do every day, minute to minute, hour to hour. I don't know of another way that is better than this for being more responsible emotionally for who I am, to take advantage of the opportunity to grow. I know it's so simple that some people think, wait a minute, you're going to take a feeling and you're going to change it. You're going to take a triggered moment and you're going to change it into, it's a very subtle shift in how I feel, either to blame the other person or to accept responsibility. It's a very subtle shift.
It's a subtle shift, but it is actually what can change the world. It's actually what can bring peace to the planet and what can bring peace within our heart. Instead of blaming and being at the effect of everything that's happening to us, we can actually really desire to know the truth, desire to feel moment by moment, and bring a sense of connection with everything that's there, because it's all coming to us for us to feel more, for us to resolve, or like that spiral, resolve and or bring up all the feelings through time that have caused harm to ourselves, our planet, our families. So yes, I think it is a beautiful way to very simply ask to feel more, and just do it through moments to moment in time, and then set aside time to do this. I definitely want to hear more about your experiences and what more people can do with the protocol.
Well, let's leave this part here for now. And I'd like to just remind people that the thing I'm enjoying myself a lot is, even in my private place, I like to just use my hands.
Mm.
So if I'm having a feeling, no matter whether it's happy or sad, alone, or I like to just move. It's true, I can't do that in the grocery store without feeling a little embarrassed. I can't do it in public, and maybe I need to do my protocol on shame and embarrassment, that I'm out in public doing this thing with the trees, or this thing that this is happening and that, I just want to feel that. I want to feel this more. But in my private space, I'm suggesting to anyone else, consider this arc. I like this arc. And by the way, I'll make another reference. To me, this arc is 23 degrees. And later on, I'll explain what that might be about 23 degrees. But let's just start with this. A single feeling of the desire to want to grow, feel, be more alive, be more responsible, be more loving, be more co-creative, and look at the nature of the world as it is now. It's global. So the diameter of our attention is that the COVID is global, and that my capacity to feel the feelings of other people is now part of what's global. So do I want to feel globally what the world is going through? Do I want to feel the presence of all life, pain, suffering, joy, and laughter on earth? Do I sincerely want to feel more? And to what degree do I want to be able to involve myself with it? That's what I do with it. So thank you for the questions. And Nellie, thank you for hosting us. And this gives us an opportunity to be able to explain this, and we can come back and do another one another time.
Thank you very much, Denny.
Talk to everyone.